Где Залужный, да, вот Владимир
А?
Владимирович.
Где он, Залужный?
Целый канал есть такой, где Залужный.
Я знаю. Мне кажется, что я знаю. Ну, вы у него спросите, где он. Но для этого нужно перейти на иностранный язык. Мне кажется, что он за границей. Я могу ошибаться.
This is my video update from Larnaca, Cyprus on this Monday morning, June the 19th. Let's talk about some news, and let's start things off with an interesting clip from Putin's Q&A session with war journalists and war correspondents that he gave 3-4 days ago. Now, this news clip was released by Russia 1, I believe, and it's interesting that they released this clip now. Well, they released it yesterday, actually, because this is a clip about Zaluzhny. And well, Putin is asked by a war correspondent, Mr. President, what is up with Zaluzhny? What is going on? And Putin was like, I have no idea, but a little birdie told me that Zaluzhny may be abroad, may not be in Ukraine, may be in some other country. But of course, Putin was kind of like, he was smiling a bit, and you could tell that he was, I don't know, I think he was kind of trolling a little bit. But he was like, I don't know. He's like, look, I heard he could be abroad, but what do I know? I'm just the president of the Russian Federation. Oh, man. So that was an interesting clip that was released by Russia 1. One sec. Let me pull up an article here which talks about this. On Sunday, Russia 1 broadcaster published a clip of Putin speaking about the fate of Ukraine's top general during his meeting with Russian military correspondents and bloggers at the Kremlin early this week. Where is he, Zaluzhny? I think I know, the Russian president told reporters. He advised them to ask Zaluzhny himself about this, but warned that one would need to switch to a foreign language to do so. I think he's abroad, Putin clarified, but added that he might be wrong about it. Putin's like, yeah, he could be abroad, but не знаю. I don't know. Maybe not. And he was, you could tell he was kind of smiling a bit. So where is Zaluzhny? Where is he? Where's Budanov? It's been like 3-4 weeks, and these guys have not shown up anywhere except for Zaluzhny at a science fair, and Budanov, well, we had that creepy deep fake video that the intel agency put out like 3-4 days ago. There are some photos circulating the interwebs claiming that Zaluzhny was handing out diplomas at like a military academy graduation. But some people say those photos are old. Some people say that's not Zaluzhny. Some people point to the fact that on the back of his head, this person's head, who some people claim is Zaluzhny, it looks like there's bumps or an operation or something. I don't know. I have no idea. My take on Zaluzhny is that whatever happened to him, he's definitely, and this is the important part, whatever happened, whether some people speculate he was fired, some people speculate he was injured, and he just can't command the Ukraine forces anymore. And then, of course, there's a speculation that he's gone. My thinking on this is that the most important part to all of this is if Zaluzhny is not commanding the Ukrainian forces, well then, who is? I think that's the most important question to answer. I think Alexander talked about this in his video yesterday. I mean, I know he talked about this in his video yesterday. Who is commanding the Ukrainian forces? I think that's the most important question to ask. Who's in charge of the big counteroffensive? Who is it? Is it Zelensky? Is it NATO? Is it Milley? Is it Austin? Is it Blinken? Is it Newland? Stoltenberg? I mean, who's running things? Because we know that Zaluzhny was against the counteroffensive, or at least those were the rumors, that he did not want to go forward with the big counteroffensive. He knew it was going to be a disaster, and he was against it. So, look, at a minimum, he was fired, dismissed because he didn't want to go along with the counteroffensive or pushed aside. And at a maximum, the Russians got him. So this could all easily be fixed if Zaluzhny would come out and give a video statement and say, look, I'm alive, all is well. And I don't know what else he could say. I guess he can't say that he's been dismissed or he's not active anymore. But, maybe a video would at least dispel the rumors that he's been deleted. And the other part with Zaluzhny, which makes this entire story even more fascinating, more interesting, is that Zaluzhny is quiet. He's disappeared. He's in hiding. He's been deleted. He's been dismissed. Whatever. He's a no-show while the collective West media, they're running articles about Zaluzhny and how he masterminded the Nord Stream sabotage. Look at all the food for the cats that the good people of Mackenzie put out for all of the cats of Mackenzie. So, I mean, the least that you would imagine Zaluzhny to do, at a minimum, you would imagine that Zaluzhny would at least come out and, I don't know, maybe put up a video and say, look, I didn't mastermind the blowing up of Nord Stream. I mean, you would think that at a minimum he could do that, or he could get permission to do that. Hey everybody, this is one-time Commander Zaluzhny. I'm not commanding the Ukraine forces anymore. He can't say that, but this is Zaluzhny here, everybody, and I just want to say that the reporting from the Wall Street Journal and from Politico and from the New York Times and from the Washington Post and from the CIA and from CIA Director Burns, it's false. I did not mastermind Andromeda yacht, sailboat, Nord Stream pipeline sabotage. It wasn't me, as that Shaggy song says. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. You would think that he would want to at least do that. Man, oh man. Budanov, I think, is a different story. It seems like Budanov is, who knows? Seems like that guy is somewhere in Germany, I guess, seeking treatment. Because he loved the media. Budanov loved giving interviews, and he's been disappeared for like 3 weeks as well. So I think Budanov may be a different case than Zaluzhny altogether, because Budanov was all for the counteroffensive. He was all for escalation. I mean, he supported all these things. So I don't see why they would dismiss Budanov. But Zaluzhny, yeah, I can see why they would dismiss Zaluzhny, because he didn't want to go along with the counteroffensive. But Budanov was all in. He was like, let's do it. Let's ratchet things up. So for him to disappear while this counteroffensive is going on, well, that That doesn't make any sense unless, of course, the Russians got to him. I said in a video like 2 weeks ago when Budanov was bragging about how he was the one that masterminded the assassination of Russian journalists and politicians like Daria Dugina. He was hinting that he was the guy behind that. Man, I said in a video I did like a couple of weeks ago from Nicosia, I was like, dude, bad move, Budanov, taking credit for those assassinations. Very bad move. The Russians are going to get you. All right, enough of that. Enough of speculation. I don't know. I don't know what's happened to these people. I'm just passing on some news, a little bit of rumors, a little bit of speculation from various independent news sources, posts on the interwebs. One day we'll find out. And of course, a statement from the Russian president who you can tell from his facial expression that he's kind of amused at all of this. I mean, Putin he's kind of smiling a little bit. Zaluzhny may be abroad and he's like, kind of having fun with it, I guess, would be the best way to explain it when you look at Putin's facial expressions, his body language. So let's talk about the big counteroffensive, which the Russian Ministry of Defense they published yesterday the results of the big attack that Ukraine launched yesterday, actually over the past couple of days in the Zaporozhye region, actually in an area. It was concentrated in an area known as Piatchatka. Piatchatka is this town or village that the big attack was directed towards, which was a catastrophe for the Ukraine military. Now, Piatchatka, from what I understand, means 5 homes. Piat is 5 in Russian. Chatka, I don't know. That doesn't mean homes. Or maybe I'm wrong about that, but I don't understand where they get 5 homes from that. But anyway, this attack from Ukraine was a complete catastrophe. The Russian Ministry of Defense, they put out the numbers over the past day. Enemy losses in the southern Donetsk and Zaporozhye direction amounted to more than 800 Ukrainian servicemen, 20 tanks, 4 infantry fighting vehicles, and 15 armored vehicles, the MOD said. The Russian Ministry of Defense said the ministry did not elaborate on whether its figures or casualties includes those killed and injured or fatalities exclusively. As well as these setbacks in personnel and equipment, Ukraine troops also lost 2 U.S.-made M777 howitzers and several Soviet-made artillery systems and military added. Interestingly enough, this attack did not include, from what I understand, it didn't include Leopard tanks. It seems like Ukraine is running very low on Leopards. And so there were no Leopard tanks used. And the other thing that I'm understanding is that the Ukraine military is running low on Bradleys, and the Biden White House is going to have to send some more Bradleys. So the Russians are demilitarizing NATO. They are demilitarizing NATO, which is a pretty incredible accomplishment. And there were a lot of images and videos, photos of POWs being taken. Hundreds of POWs. So I think that corroborates much of the Russian Ministry of Defense's figures and reporting as far as Ukraine losses are concerned. It was a catastrophe. The past couple of days for Ukraine was a complete catastrophe. So we have that update as well. And let's see here. What more can we talk about? Remember the story I did about the Czech President Pavel and how he said Europe, or at least the Czech Republic, should start monitoring Russians in much the same way that the Japanese were quote unquote monitored by the U.S. in World War II. He's walking back those statements. He understood that what he said was crossing the line in a big way, and he's now walking back the statements that he made. He said monitoring does not mean that every Russian citizen should be monitored, Pavel told CNN Prima News on Sunday. What it means is general monitoring of what is going on in that community in a response to behavioral risk factors. So he said some more stuff, walking back the statements about monitoring Russians. But yeah, he understood that what he said was a big no-no, but he gave the game away. I think he gave the game away, which is the general plan, not only for Russians, but the general population is always about surveillance and monitoring. That's what it's all about. And it's going to take form in a digital way, but that was the walk back from Pavel. The plan over the next 10 years is absolutely monitoring and surveilling everyone. That is the plan. But I think Pavel is a bit early in his estimations as to when the EU or the Czech Republic should begin monitoring certain segments of the population, in this instance, Russians. But they monitor Russians and then they broaden it out to monitor everyone else. He says monitoring communities, like it makes it any better. Just a general surveillance of communities. We don't want to surveil individuals per se. I just meant that we should monitor in general the Russian community. So that's the walk back, the kind of walk back from the Czech Republic president. And finally, before we get to a clown world and wrap up this video, as I approach the end of the beach here, Mackenzie Beach. This is Mackenzie Beach, right here. Let's talk about the EU and how the EU is saying that they are going to give Ukraine money and weapons for as long as it takes. No conditions, even if the counteroffensive is a catastrophe, and it is a catastrophe. Even if it fails, according to EU representatives, they will continue to provide money and weapons to the Zelensky regime, because why not? When they provide money and weapons to the Zelensky regime, it's like giving themselves money and weapons, which can then later get sold on the black market, so they all make a whole lot of money. They're paying themselves in essence. But the European Union, they are committed to escalation, and they're committed to a smash with Russia. And they're going to lose. They are losing, and they will lose. The European Union and Europe, if they continue in this trajectory, will be destroyed by Russia. And they've gotten all the warnings. If we, God help us, I don't want this to happen, but if we end up in a smash between Europe and Russia, you can't say the Russians didn't warn the Europeans. Anyway, speaking to French daily Le Parisien on Saturday, the EU industry chief, Mr. Thierry Breton, who's the EU Internal Markets Commissioner, he said that the bloc must ramp up its production to live up to its pledge to supply 1 million high-caliber munitions over the next 12 months. We are going to step up our efforts to deliver arms and ammunition. This is a war of high intensity in which They play a crucial role. Asked whether the future military aid to Ukraine depends on the success of the ongoing counteroffensive against Russia, the official insisted EU support is not conditional and will be provided to prop up Kiev for as long as necessary. Quote, our support is not conditional. What is imperative is for Ukraine to recover its freedom and territory. We are determined to provide it with all the support it needs for as long as it takes. And he's talking about a production of 1 million high caliber munitions over the next 12 months. Russia is already producing something like 2.5 to 3.5 million. And they're talking about 1 million over the next 12 months. They can't keep up with the Russians. All of Europe, plus the United States, they can't produce enough, period. End of story. They just cannot keep up with Russian production. So that's the statement from the EU chief, one of the EU chiefs. Should we do a clown world? We've come to the fence that leads to the airport. I think we could do a clown world now. There's a lot of articles, by the way, from the Collective West media. Let me pull some of them up. Coping with the counteroffensive, trying to explain things. Why is this happening? Why is this disaster and this catastrophe happening? For example, the Washington Post, they put up an article saying Russia aims to defeat counteroffensive with mines, artillery, and aviation. It's just such silly titles, man. Russia aims to fight this conflict with the military. I mean, it's just ridiculous articles. The New York Times, they put up an article saying Russia, learning from costly mistakes, shifts battlefield tactics. There's the airport right there. All right, let's walk back. Let's walk back and we'll go to a coffee shop here and I'll get this video up. So they're trying to cope with the fact that the big counteroffensive that was going to be a 3-day sprint to the Sea of Azov and split the Russian forces and lead to Putin's demise and the regime change of the Putin government, this whole thing has crumbled in spectacular fashion, in catastrophic, horrific fashion for Ukraine and for the Zelensky regime. The Europeans, they vowed that they will stay committed to Ukraine, whatever that means. And the Biden White House, well, the Biden White House, they can't turn back now either. They've got an election coming. It's too late to pull back, and they have to now figure out a way to keep this thing going, at least until November 2024. So that's where we are. And the Russians, they have said that they're just going to destroy everything that comes their way, whether it's Ukraine military and Ukraine Soviet weapons, or whether it's NATO military and NATO weapons. NATO is building a force of like 300,000 troops to sit at the border between Poland and Russia. That's what they say. So that they can prevent Russia from moving past Ukraine. That's according to NATO. And I read a report that Israel is now negotiating the sale of more than 200 Merkava Mk2 and Mk3 tanks to Ukraine and Poland. I don't know anything about the Merkava tanks, so the experts in the comment sections, let everyone know, are these, what are these tanks like? Are these the next wonder weapon? Are these the big game changer, or will the Russians have to destroy these tanks as well? 200 Merkava tanks is being negotiated right now. All right, let's do a clown world. We'll wrap this up. A quick clown world. And it has to do with Zelensky, and he gave his nightly Instagram, TikTok address. And Zelensky claimed that The Russians have destroyed 0 Patriots air defense. 0. The air defense is 100% intact, according to Zelensky. And he was very clear, which I think is the interesting part about this clown world and his statement. He wanted to make a point that Kiev, specifically Kiev, not the rest of Ukraine, Kiev is 100% protected by the Patriot missile system. I wonder how much of a commission Zelensky is making for these statements from the military-industrial complex. I wonder how much they're paying him to come out and say that the Patriot system is the best, it's awesome, the Russians are unable to defeat it, and it is protecting all of Kiev. I wonder what he negotiated with the MIC. We all know that's false. We've seen the videos. We've seen the Russian Kinzhals dismantle the Patriot air defense system in 20 minutes, not even in 2 minutes, as the Ukraine military fired off 30 missiles in the span of 2 minutes, trying to take out the Russian Kinzhals that eventually destroyed the Patriot system. But anyway, that is Zelensky. That is what he said in this statement. The Patriots are all good. I gave my statement, a military-industrial complex. I do good. I give good statement about Patriots now. Pay me money. Pay me money. I buy many homes. All right, everyone. That is the video coming to you early morning, very early morning from Mackenzie Beach. You can see everyone is waking up early here in Cyprus on this Monday morning, and they're getting their exercise in. This is when the beach is best. The beach is always best early in the morning. TheDuran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and go to the Duran shop, 10% off. Use the code GOODDAY. Take care. If you want to stick with me for like a minute or two, we'll walk to the coffee shop. But the news is over. These are just now the sights and sounds of Mackenzie Beach. I love these gym machines. The best.